The film starts in a creepy, dense jungle where some villagers are busy with a ritual. This was 15 years ago. The villagers were trying to calm down some scary, destructive demon. Honestly, if you know a demon wants to destroy your village, maybe just move. Suddenly, the demon starts screaming, sounding like a wolf crying for a lost snack. Out of nowhere, the ritualist drops sick and dies on the spot. Great job, ritualist. You had one job. The villagers, now terrified, bolt in every direction. Two men reach the river and find someone sitting there. When this man turns around, his face is so scary it could make a horror movie villain retire. Before they can blink, the guy morphs into a wolf, and then there's a blood-curdling scream. The scene shifts to a cozy hotel. A blind man is sitting there, telling this entire horrifying story. One kid listening gets so scared he starts crying. The hotel waiter, clearly done with the blind man's theatrics, slaps him and says, "Stop scaring kids with your nonsense stories." The blind man, unfazed, replies, "It's not a story. It's the truth, right? Because nothing screams credible source like a guy making kids cry." Meanwhile, it's raining cats and dogs outside, so a drama group has stopped at the hotel for shelter. Among them is a girl and her mom. Then, an inspector and some police officers arrive with a dangerous killer they caught in the jungle. The inspector announces, "While this killer is in the hotel, no one leaves. And if anyone tries to help him, I'll kill you all along with him." Such a motivational speech. You should try Hallmark cards next. Everyone is spooked. You can almost hear their thoughts. "Forget the rain. Let's swim out of here." The blind man suddenly pipes up again. "Hey, this place is exactly like the one in my story. The lake, the village across it. It's all true." Ignoring him, the drama group mentions they're heading to the same spooky village. Their leader, however, supports the blind man, saying he's right. There wasn't just a wolf. There was a man named Chong. Now we get Chang's story. He was a gambler and a hustler who sold household items, but mostly lost his money. One day, he borrowed cash from the village's rich. Scary dude, but couldn't pay it back. When the rich guy threatened to take Chang's life, Chong begged for mercy, promising, "I'll pay you back in 2 days." The rich guy smirked. "Fine, 2 days. But if you don't pay up, I'll cut off all your fingers." "Oh, Chong, betting on your fingers is bold for someone who couldn't even bet on the right horse." Then a boy named Yuan appears. He's there to return the last bit of money he owes. Chong sees him and feels a mix of emotions. Yuan had also been drowning in debt like Chong, but had somehow managed to pay everything off and become rich. Chong, curious and a bit jealous, thinks, "Wait, this guy was just as broke as me, gambling like a fool. Did he win the lottery or rob a bank? I need to find out his secret." So, Chong follows Yuan and sees him digging a grave. Sneaking up, Chong stops him and exclaims, "Ah, so this is your big secret. You're stealing jewelry from graves to get rich. That's how you paid off your debt." Chong really thought he cracked a Netflix crime documentary. Yuan panics and says, No, don't tell anyone. Listen, if you keep quiet, I'll pay off your debt too. Plus, you can join me in this." Chong, always ready to make a shady deal, agrees. Yuan then instructs him to dig a pit. Together, they uncover a hidden cave. Chong is amazed at the strange yellow roots with smooth skin, but things quickly get weirder. From these roots, a massive wolf's head emerges, growling fiercely. Chong freezes, his knees shaking like jelly. Brave guy, right? Or maybe just terrible survival instincts. But Yuan, acting like he's done this a million times, says, "Relax. I heard there's gold here, and this wolf's the key." Yuan had brought along an animal leg to feed the wolf. Tying the leg to a chain, he dangles it in front of the beast. The wolf snaps it up, chomping on the leg and chain like it's spaghetti. Yuan tries to pull the chain back, but the wolf's grip is too strong. That's when Chong, in a rare moment of bravery, shoves a burning stick into the wolf's mouth. The wolf yelps, releasing the chain and revealing it covered in a shiny liquid gold. Yuan grabs the golden chain and bolts, with Chong right behind him. Suddenly, all the torches in the cave change from yellow to green. Yuan screams, "Close your eyes. Don't open them, or she will catch you." Chong, confused but scared, shuts his eyes and asks, "Who's she?" Yuan doesn't answer because, surprise, he's already run off. Yuan clearly skipped the teamwork module in school. Chong feels something behind him. Turning, he touches something soft. It's a girl's waist. His curiosity gets the better of him, and he opens his eyes to see a beautiful woman. But in the next instant, her face transforms into a wolf. Chong blinks again, and suddenly finds himself in a grand palace surrounded by wolf-headed masters. One of them growls, "We've been sleeping peacefully for years, but you disturbed us. Let us kill him." The Wolf King agrees, but Chong throws himself to the floor, begging for mercy. Classic Chong, bold when stealing, pathetic when caught. He pleads, "Please forgive me. It was a mistake." The Wolf Master pauses and says, "Fine. If you want to live, you must marry one of our she-wolves. Poor Chong. From gambling debts to marrying a wolf, life sure knows how to keep him on his toes. Chong had no other way to escape, so he agreed to marry the she-wolf. He brought her back to his village, but his face was gloomier than a rainy Monday morning. Seriously, Chong? You're the first person in history to be this sad on their wedding day. Meanwhile, the head of a local drama group was at a hotel, entertaining everyone with a story. He announced, turns out that she-wolf Chong married was actually a witch. Hearing this, a blind man cheered, yes, my story was true. Blind man for the win. He knew the plot twist before anyone else. And with that, the drama group leader wrapped up his tale. Then, the killer chimed in mumbling, all right, the blind guy and drama head told their stories. Now it's my turn. You'll find the real truth in mine. Oh, great. Another storyteller. This place is starting to feel like an open mic night. The killer began his tale. 15 years ago, a minister and his master traveled to the wolf village. When they arrived, the village was empty, except for two places, a small house and a hotel. They decided to check the hotel. As they entered, the master sensed something sinister, noticing sheep and goats tied nearby. When they went inside, a man with a yellowish face welcomed them. It was none other than Chong. Yellow-faced Chong, looking like he fell asleep in a turmeric bath. Chong offered them a goat meal and said, don't worry about money. Just pay for the cooking. The group was thrilled. A delicious goat feast at a discount? They couldn't believe their luck. Chong even served them a special kind of milk. But the master, suspicious of everything, refused to eat or let his minister eat. The minister, starving, asked, Master, why can't we eat? The master replied, put on your face cover and look around. You will understand. Reluctantly, the minister peeked inside with the cover on, and what he saw made his stomach churn. Everyone was eating wasn't goat meat. It was human flesh. Bet that discount isn't looking so good now. He then looked outside at the sheep and goats tied up. But with the cover on, he saw the horrifying truth. They were humans tied up like livestock. The master explained, this place is cursed with a dangerous force, a demon that feeds on human flesh to grow stronger. We must stop it and save these people. The master then recited magical spells, blew on a sword, and handed it to the minister. The demon must be defeated today, he declared, because nothing says vacation like slaying a man-eating demon, right? The minister felt a sudden movement behind him, so he grabbed a small sword, ready to strike. But just as he was about to attack, he stopped. It was a police officer sitting there, casually munching on food. Imagine almost getting slashed while enjoying your meal. Talk about bad timing. The master immediately pointed out, he must not have drunk that special milk from the hotel. The officer looked shocked. How did you know? He asked. The master put on his face cover and revealed the horrifying truth. The villagers, who looked like sheep to the naked eye, were actually humans, being dragged by Chong like livestock. Chang's village, where you're either on the menu or tied up like dinner. The master explained, Chong isn't the real demon. He's just a servant. We need to find the real demon. So, the trio ventured into a house, searched every corner, and finally ended up in the basement. There, Chang's son stood ominously. As soon as he spotted them, he began chanting spells, opening his mouth to release a dangerous smoke. The master, unfazed, created a magical shield and countered the attacks. Chang's son turned into a statue, which they secured before moving to another room filled with blood, flesh, and severed pieces. In the middle of it all stood Chong, holding a knife and chanting spells. The officer, furious, yelled, You killed all the villagers. I'm arresting you. But then Chang's voice shifted. It sounded like a woman. The master realized the demon is inside Chong. Without hesitation, the officer shot Chong in the forehead. Demon or no demon, the police fear nothing, he boasted. Big words for someone who clearly skipped demon fighting day at the academy. But suddenly, Chong got up, stabbed the officer in the forehead, and spewed black liquid from his mouth. Chong then transformed into a liquid demon. The master, ever ready, stepped up to fight while the minister was tossed aside like a rag doll. Realizing he was no match, the minister ran for safety, leaving the master to battle the demon alone. A fierce fight broke out. The demon unleashed dangerous powers, but the master countered every attack. At one point, he even slammed the demon against a wall. You know it's serious when someone uses the wall slam special in a fight. The battle raged on until a loud explosion sent the master flying out of the building. The master, now gravely injured, collapsed into the minister's arms. Saddened, the minister asked what to do. The master revealed, This demon has 5 skins. I destroyed 3, but 2 remain. It will take 5 years for the skins to regenerate, and the demon will return in 15 years. You must prepare to fight and finish it. With those words, the master died, leaving the minister crying over his loss. The scene shifted back to the killer, who had been narrating the story. The shocking twist? The minister in the story was none other than the killer himself. I've been waiting 15 years for this day, he declared. That demon, the she-wolf, will return today. The police officer, skeptical, asked, "Why should we believe you?" The killer replied, "Because only I can fight her." "Sure, buddy. Just don't forget to share your LinkedIn profile while you're at it." Suddenly, lightning struck, and a terrified wolf's howling could be heard. Along with it came eerie magical chants, all coming from the statue in front of them. The killer, sensing the moment, yelled, "Open my handcuffs. I need to fight." The inspector, now starting to believe his bizarre claims, began unlocking the cuffs. But just then, a woman cried out, "Stop. Don't open them. He's lying." The killer snapped back, "Don't listen to her. She's the demon, the she-wolf." Hearing this, the inspector pulled out his gun and pointed it at her. Classic move. When in doubt, wave a gun around and hope for the best. The woman, now panicking, started her own tale. Our village was in ruins, poverty everywhere. People were starving and dying. To save the village, the elders decided to bring in masters to perform rituals and drive out any evil spirits. This killer was one of those so-called masters. She continued, "Chong, the man he talks about, was from our village. He wasn't a gambler or a bad person. In fact, he was kind-hearted. During a famine, he gave food to the hungry. He even helped me when I had nothing. One day, while distributing grain, a man named Yuan came crying, asking for help for his sick mother. Chang's brother warned him, 'Don't give him money. Yuan's just a gambler.' But Chong said, 'No one lies about their mother.' So, he gave Yuan both food and money." The woman sobbed. Chong was a good man, but this killer, he ruined everything. He's no hero, just a terrible master. Now, everyone was confused. Plot twist after plot twist. This story has more drama than a soap opera. They didn't know whom to believe. Suddenly, a wolf's howl echoed outside, followed by a strange song. The inspector rushed out and asked his team, "Did one of you sing?" They all shook their heads. The inspector, visibly nervous, turned back to the woman. "You're the demon, aren't you?" She cried, "No, I'm not the demon. Don't hurt me. And don't let the killer go." The constable approached to handcuff her, but before he could, he collapsed as if something had possessed him. The killer jumped on the opportunity, yelling, "See? She's a demon. Now she's going to kill everyone." The woman, still crying, insisted, "No, I'm not a demon." The inspector, clearly in over his head, unlocked the killer's chains and picked up his gun. Chaos erupted. The killer and the inspector started shooting the other officers. Even the constable who had collapsed suddenly grabbed his gun and began shooting at his colleagues. Imagine being a cop and realizing your own team is the final boss fight. Yikes! As the remaining officers panicked, the inspector and the killer cornered one of them, who was barely holding on. The dying officer groaned. Why are you doing this?" The inspector smirked and revealed the shocking truth. "When we captured the killer, we struck a deal. He offered me money, lots of it. All I had to do was bring him here and let him go. And that's exactly what I've done. Plot armor? Nah. This inspector just wanted a paycheck and a one-way ticket to Betrayalville." The inspector, the killer, and the constable who just had a stroke all joined forces. Together, they shot everyone in the hotel. The drama group, the woman, everyone. Well, everyone except a blind man and a girl. Apparently, even killers draw the line somewhere. Blind man immunity is a thing now. The killer approached the blind man and declared, "The she-wolf demon came here and killed everyone. Only we are left now." The blind man, probably rolling his unseeing eyes, replied, "I warned everyone, but nobody listened to me. Typical." Then he dropped the truth bomb. "There's no demon or ghost here. It's all rumors spread by you. Ouch! Roasted by someone who can't even see you." Meanwhile, the killer turned to the wounded woman, who was barely hanging on. She began crying and reminiscing about what had happened. Chong, the kind-hearted man, had been helping the villagers by giving them grains and money whenever they needed it. But instead of appreciating him, the villagers got lazy and started taking advantage of his generosity. Moral of the story: be kind, but don't be a free ATM. One day, a rich man was beating up a gambler, who turned out to be the killer. The gambler owed the rich man money and was given an ultimatum: pay up in 5 days or face death. Terrified, the killer turned to Yuan, who came up with a brilliant plan. "Let's go to Chong. He's a fool. We'll trick him into giving us money." Genius move. When in doubt, target the nicest guy in the village. But when they went to Chang's house, only his brother was there. The brother, well aware of their scheming ways, kicked them out and warned them not to exploit Chang's kindness. Despite Chang's goodness, the villagers resented him and his family. They started spreading rumors. Where did Chang get all his money? Ever since he got married, he's been rich. And his wife. Oh, she's too beautiful to be trusted. Villagers, expert-level gossipers, amateur-level thinkers. Yuan and the killer concocted another plan. They bought sleeping pills and approached the maid working at Chang's house. who also happened to be the woman now lying wounded. They promised her a reward if she mixed the pills into the food of Chang's wife and son. At first, she refused, but Yuan, knowing she secretly loved Chang, manipulated her. If you do this, his wife will be out of the picture, and Chang will be yours forever. Misguided by jealousy, she agreed. But that small mistake turned into a massive one. Realizing her blunder later, she regretted everything, but it was too late. With her last breath, she passed away. The girl, who had been watching her mother die, broke down in tears. The killer wanted to kill the girl too, but the inspector stopped him, saying, "No one will believe her anyway. She's just a girl." Apparently, their twisted logic has no bottom. Now the inspector decided to shoot the blind man, but this time the killer stopped him. If he dies, who will spread the stories of the demon? These tales protect us. The villagers will keep blaming the she-wolf instead of us. Because nothing screams master plan like relying on a blind man to spread rumors. And so, their twisted game of lies and manipulation continued, with the villagers still in the dark, both figuratively and literally. Meanwhile, the blind man remains the only one who sees the truth. Irony much. While everyone was preparing to leave, a boat arrived to take them away. As they boarded, the inspector turned to the killer and asked, "You pulled off such a big act 15 years ago. So tell me, what exactly did you do to Chang's wife and child?" The killer, like it was some grand achievement, began to narrate. "After we made Chang's wife and child unconscious, we kidnapped them and took them to the jungle. The plan was simple. Hold them hostage and demand a huge ransom from Chang. Ah yes, the classic villain starter pack. Greed, stupidity, and zero long-term thinking. But things didn't go as planned. On the way, Yuan, the genius sidekick, decided to get handsy with Chang's wife. Thankfully, she regained consciousness just in time, delivered a swift kick to Yuan, and ran off with her child. Moral of the story, never underestimate the power of a well-timed kick. Yuan, clearly not used to being kicked, chased after her like a headless chicken. Meanwhile, when Chang found out his wife and child were missing, he assumed hunters had taken them. Desperate, he went door to door, begging the villagers for help. But, surprise, surprise, nobody wanted to get involved. Typical villagers. All talk, no action. Chang's brother, fed up with their cowardice, yelled, "You call yourselves people? Let's just go ourselves." Thankfully, a handful of good-hearted folks joined them, and they all headed into the jungle. Once there, they split up to search for Chang's wife and son. Meanwhile, as Chang's wife ran through the jungle, she tripped and fell. Yuan caught up and started strangling her. The killer, showing an ounce of decency, tried to stop him. "Don't kill her. We just need the money." But Yuan wasn't listening. He kept choking her until she screamed loud enough for Chang's brother to hear. Chang's brother arrived just in time and started beating Yuan. But it was 2 against 1, and the killer and Yuan overpowered him. Tragically, Chang's wife was killed during the struggle. Yuan and the killer, when partners in crime, take their job way too seriously. To make matters worse, eerie wolf howls echoed through the jungle. At the same time, the villagers who had been performing rituals nearby panicked and ran off. 2 of them stumbled upon the scene and saw the aftermath. Chang's wife dead, Chang's brother badly beaten, and the killers standing there like deer caught in headlights. The hunters, led by their chief, arrived next. The chief pointed a gun at Yuan's head. Yuan, ever the sleazeball, tried to strike a deal. "Don't tell Chang about this, and we'll cut you in on the ransom." But the chief, knowing Chang's kind nature, refused to join their evil plan. Chief 1, dumb criminals 0. Out of nowhere, Chang's young son bit Yuan on the arm. Furious, Yuan picked up the child and threw him, killing him too. Yuan really set the bar for being the worst human ever. Congrats. Seeing his nephew's death, Chang's brother lost it. Enraged, he grabbed Yuan and jumped into a pit, taking him down with him. Now, only the killer was left. He turned to the chief and tried one last trick. "Chang will kill me if he finds out. Let me join your group." The chief wasn't impressed. "You're a coward," he said, walking away. The killer, "I just want to survive." The chief, "Not with us, buddy." Enraged, the killer grabbed the chief's gun, shot one of the men, and yelled, "Coward, huh? Did you see that? I'm no coward." But the chief, as calm as ever, ignored him and left with his group. Now, only one of the ritual men was left alive. Seeing an opportunity, the killer grabbed him and issued a chilling threat. "You'll tell the villagers that Chang's wife, son, and brother were all killed by a demon wolf. If you even think about mentioning my name, I'll make sure your family pays a price." And just like that, the man spread the rumor far and wide about a terrifying she-wolf demon. The poor guy had no choice between the killer and the imaginary wolf. The wolf seemed less terrifying. To make matters worse, the blind man in the village started retelling the she-wolf story to everyone. Because nothing screams credibility like a blind storyteller describing things he hasn't seen. Meanwhile, the killer continued his spree, taking out the hunter chief and claiming his position as the new leader. This guy was basically running a murder-to-management masterclass. Fast forward to the present. After hearing the killer's entire story, the inspector sarcastically clapped. "Wow, what a brilliant plan," he said. The killer, reveling in the praise, responded smugly, "Yeah, but my plan wasn't foolproof. The rumors could have been debunked if it wasn't for your constables acting as a fake wolf." First he howled, then he sang a song. It was Oscar-worthy. The constable, wide-eyed and utterly confused, blurted out, "Wait, what? I didn't do any of that." Now, both the inspector and the killer were stunned. If the constable didn't do it, then who was it? Just as they were pondering this mystery, the eerie song started again, not from far away, but right there on the boat. The boy standing nearby, wearing a cap, removed it to reveal his face. It was none other than Chang's brother. Yes, the same brother who had fallen into the valley. Talk about plot armor. This guy survived a fall that would have ended a Marvel superhero. For the past 15 years, Chang's brother had been hunting the killer, and now he'd caught him. Turns out, he was also the one singing the creepy song outside the hotel, just to mess with their heads. Chang's brother. Part-time Avenger, full-time troll. But he wasn't done yet. With a sly grin, he revealed that he'd planted a bomb on the boat. As the killer and inspector realized what was happening, Chang's brother jumped into the water. Moments later, the boat exploded in a massive blast, taking the killer, the inspector, and the constable with it. In the final scene, we see Chang's brother back in his village, finally at peace. A girl playfully pulled him aside, signaling a fresh start. And so, the story ends with a message. Don't believe every rumor you hear, or you might end up blaming a demon wolf for everything.